Reserve is currently trying to buy Circle. They made an offer of $5 billion, 0 cents and 0 cents, but it was turned down. Now, Ripple is trying to find out more about what's going on, why it's important for Ripple to buy Circle, and what might happen to the XRP system and price if everything falls apart. This is going to be very informative for you. So let's start with Ripple buying Circle. What part would a stable coin play in the future? How does this all look? I see a big flaw in Circle's upcoming IPO filing. A lot of money from USDC's reserves still goes to Coinbase, even though Circle paid them $210 million, 0 cents to leave the group. It's a huge loss of money. And Ripple has the money, the structure, and the drive to fix it. This makes sense for Circle. Ripple, on the other hand, has many ways for money to move. They sell XRP, work with institutions, and charge fees to send money across borders. Circle controls USCC, the world's second largest stablecoin. However, Ripple doesn't have the same issues as Circle. If Ripple steps in, they can take Circle's money, change Coinbase's terms, raise margins, and add USDC to Ripplet and Liquidity Hub. This would make stablecoins a natural part of the Ripple ecosystem as well. To make a two-headed financial powerhouse, combine the speed of XRP with the legal acceptance of USDC. Ripple has been through a lot of hard times and has been getting a lot of attention from the SEC by buying Circle. It's set up to be a leader in a controlled market for digital assets. Swirl gets quick access to more than $60 billion, 0 cents in Circle's USDC liquidity, which makes the company bigger and more useful in a world where it already works. Circle gets Ripple's operational strength, legal firepower, and direct DeFi integration, which means it doesn't have to rely on coins and its business plan is better. Everything is fine. Ripple can add USDC to its trade hub and network, which will turn stablecoins into real assets in the situation of payment flow. There will be a new financial stack with XRP as a liquidity token and USDC as a regulated stablecoin. They will change the name, for example. Would they keep it as USDC? That's an interesting fact. I also found this. People have been throwing away $20 billion, 0 cents, because Ripple offered $4 billion, 0 cents, $950 million, 0 cents. And Circle said no. So Ripple made another offer of $20 billion. 0 cents. This seems fake to me. It looks like it was taken from someone's Twitter account and then made up. But that's what's going around Twitter right now. Ripple is supposedly giving Circle $20 billion, 0 cents. That doesn't make sense. I don't think this is real. If they gave you $20 billion, I have a question for you. You run a big company that's build blockchain systems all over the world. You need to buy another company. You should offer that company $5 billion, 0 cents with no strings attached. If they say no, you can do one of two things. You can leave for one, or you can make your first deal even better. That's right. When you raise your first offer, you don't do it 4 times, right? You wouldn't offer 20 billion instead of 5 billion. You'd offer 6 or 7 billion. You do it little by little. That's how you negotiate. You're pretty much giving away the farm. It's not clear what the deals between Circle and Ripple are, so just don't pay too much. I really believe this person is right about many things when they talk about the Circle and Ripple deal on X. As someone who has worked at both Goldman Sachs and Blackstone, I thought I'd talk about how deals usually go. Ripple's last offer is likely to be between $6, 0 cents, and $6 billion. 0 cents. $500 million, 0 cents. That's why most purchase premiums are between 20% and 30%, not 200 to 300%. That makes sense. If Ripple's IPO value is $5 billion, 0 cents, it will likely look at offers between $6 billion, 0 cents, and $6, 0 cents. $5 billion. This means that Ripple's next and final offer will likely be between $6 billion, 0 cents, and $6, 0 cents. $5 billion. How much does a company pay to buy another company? When a public company's stock price goes up after a purchase, you have to pay extra to give the buyer a reason to sell. You can get rid of this noise on X if you know how M&A works. Another thing is that you meet and work together a lot. We're excited to have Coinbase, Circle, and Ripple at our meeting to to talk about the future of stablecoins. The meeting being put together by CEOs from all over the financial and crypto ecosystems, as well as top leaders from the Bank of England and the Treasury. It says that every day new use cases come up, ranging from exports to remembering things from the past. That's all I'm going to say about what they cover. We don't have to put it to you, but this is how it looked in that way. Pay attention to what I say. But I thought it was interesting that Tether wasn't at the Ripple hosted stablecoin breakfast yesterday. Hey, Sensei, people asked me, I was live streaming for about 2.5 hours yesterday, and this came up during that time, and I was able to really help people understand what's going to happen. This is very easy. Just look at a chain. Like if you come here and click on stables or go to DeFi Llama and click on stables, you'll see a map of where the stalls or chains are. If you click on these chains, you'll see where a lot of this value is and what kind of chain it is. Don't forget that the $60 billion, 0 cents. There are a lot of different chains in the crypto market. If Ripple bought Circle, this money would stay where it is until they decide to move some things around. They can move some things around if they need to, but it's not likely that all of this cash will leave Ethereum, Tron, Bass, Binance, Polygon, and all these other networks to get to the XRP system. They might be able to move a few $billion here and there, but most of this will stay where it is. Since a lot of it is on Ethereum, you can see that some of it is USDT. Be very careful with this USD. 13 billion, 500 million on Solana, which means that 13,500 zero would not be added to the XRP system. Here are 4,500 zero on base. That won't be added to the XRP record. That's almost $3 billion, 0 cents on Arbitum. All of that value is on different chains, as you can see. I don't think this will have a big effect on the price, but I do think that people will think the dream price of XRP will go through the roof. If Ripple buys Hidden Road and then does something similar, what other blockchain infrastructure company do you know that is bigger than Ripple? Well, they wouldn't be able to talk to USDT because most businesses and banks won't talk to them about safe coins. This is because banks care most about following the rules so they don't get sued, arrested, or fined. Banks work hard all the time to lower risk. Because of this, banks will hire blockchain technology companies like Ripple and Circle to make stablecoins. Now, if Ripple had their own technology, which in this case means stablecoin technology, they'd be one of the strongest companies in the world. Even though they're already making progress, that would be way too much. Also, USDT isn't allowed in the US or Europe because the rules aren't clear, but that could be changed. For the audit, they need to do what Ripple did and go to the New York Department of Financial Services where their numbers would be checked every month. For that to work here in the US, they'd need to get some different